Ron Musgrave's Guys Pressure Washing Institute. We're going to talk about hiring employees today. We're going to cut right to the chase. When you put an ad out in the newspaper or wherever it classifies, wherever you put this thing, Craigslist, don't make them very long. A few key important things is that if you are looking for an $8 an hour employee or a $10 an hour employee, you will get $10 an hour employees calling. And you get so many of them calling, you won't even know. The process of weeding out the ones you don't want to are going to be horrific. Put an ad out asking for a $15 or even $20 an hour employee. Guess what? The $8 and $10 an hour people, they don't call you. It's amazing, but they don't. So you're going to get guys that are going to be more quality because, believe it or not, people out there, they know they're not worth $15 or $20 an hour. They don't call you. And if you don't believe me, try it because it works. Does it mean you're going to pay them $10 or $15 an hour? No, it's going to be all based on their experience. I don't hire in anybody for $10 an hour, so we place that ad about $5 over more than what we're probably going to put an entry-level employee in. And that's because some of my techs out there are making anywhere from $36,000 to $50-some thousand a year, based on how long that they've been with me. Yes, I do pay them better than most people probably pay their technicians, but that's part of the reason that you have good employees and that they stick with you. This, though, is not about keeping employees. This is a tactic of how you find good employees. And this will help you in the process. And basically, it's a weeding out process. So you've weeded them out first number one thing by asking for somebody that wants to make more money. You don't believe it right now, but it will keep those $8 an hour people from calling that ad if you put it out higher. So we've weeded those out. Now, how do you find the guy that's worth the $15 an hour or even the 12 or 13 that you're willing to pay him? Basically, I call this fire hoop jumping. Guys don't realize when they put the ad out, what they'll do also often is the guy will call and say, hey, will you see me and we'll make an interview. And you're going to try to interview everybody that comes through that does the ad. I've sometimes gotten 55 people in an hour when the economy was really bad, when it first hit the bottom. I mean, I get 50 people in an hour. We'd have to pull those lists, we have to pull the ads because we're bombarded with phone calls. And this is when we changed the criteria of our ads as far as being more selective of who we were looking for. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. Experience, to me, doesn't make a difference. I can train anybody within 6 to 8 weeks to do what I do. It may take them 6 months to master the craft, but I can train them to where they're effective and they're making a good production rate within 6 to 8 weeks. So training ability is not the problem. It's the quality, it's the ability of that employee to be trained. That's who I'm looking for. I can't train everybody like that because you got to remember, the whole point of this is we're going to eliminate the guys that couldn't learn this in 3 days, that can't learn this in 6 weeks. Now, how we do this is what the most important thing is to us is that somebody that listens, okay? And I developed this little thing in my hiring process. And, when you get the guy that's on the phone with you, that's on the other end of the phone with you, and he goes, man, he says, you've made me do this now 3 times. And he goes, I get it. You're trying to get whether I'm going to listen or not and follow directions. Bingo. You found the guy that he gets it. He understands it. He's doing it. Now, how do you do this where you do an interview process and you get these guys to listen to you? Well, here's step 1. When you put the ad out and they call, you have to have specific instructions on what they need to do. And what I do is I tell them to either email or fax their resume. If they don't have a resume, don't call. And I tell them to fax that, and then I tell them after they fax that to call this number, and they will make the call. Now, whether it's a number that we use for employment, it may be just a number that the girls may not answer in the office. It may just ring and answer, hey, you call Pro Power Wash. This is their job hotline. Please leave your name and number. It could be picked up. If the phone's picked up, we're going to give them instructions, and then we're going to tell them again, oh, yes, we've got your resume. We see it right here. Oh, you're so-and-so. Thank you for calling. We really appreciate that. Could you do us one more favor? We would like to set you up for an interview, but we need you to also fax in your driver's license to us so that we can run it by our insurance company to make sure you're clear to be on our insurance. Now, we need that driver's license, but we could have asked him to bring that in when he comes to an interview, but we want to see if he can follow directions. That's not it. And then the girl's going to specifically say, and when you get done faxing that license in, we need you to call us to get an appointment to come in for an interview. And they'll go, okay, so after I fax it in, you want me to call you? And they go, she goes, yes, I do. So after he faxes it in, he calls, and then they go, I did that, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, okay, that's fantastic. Tomorrow morning at exactly 10 a.m., call in. Our boss will be here, and he will set you up the appointment for the interview. You need to call at exactly 10 a.m. Will there be a problem with you calling tomorrow at exactly 10 a.m.? And then they'll either say, well, yeah, I'm doing something, blah, blah, blah. Then she'll say, okay, when can you call? And then they will say, okay, I can call at noon. Now, they're not really going to call me. They're calling that same number. They're keeping track of their name. They're probably not going to ever get me on the phone. We're going to call, and the message machine on this specific number will say that, hey, you've been asked to call at a specific time. Could you, before you hang up, please make sure that you verify that you called at this time, and someone will call you back and leave you give you a time for an appointment for an interview. Now, some people will go, man, that's a lot of things to do to get a job. but the reality of it is that through that process, you will see that there will be potential future employees that will get the process, and they understand that they're jumping through the hoops. They understand that they're listening to instructions. And believe me, man, if they can't listen to those basic instructions on what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, and follow it, then they're probably not going to work for you in the field. If you tell somebody to go around the side of a building and wash this, or go take care of that, or on a work order, they got to read it, and they've got to follow the instructions on the work order. If they couldn't follow these simple instructions, and believe it or not, okay, you will narrow a field of 100 guys that call in down to like 4 or 5, that you can really save your time and really put interview, and you'll see the quality of these guys that show up at this interview, and you won't feel like you've wasted your time for the entire day basically, looking at people that are not qualified to even clean sidewalks or windows or whatever exterior cleaning that you have for them. You might be a carpet cleaning company, because it doesn't really matter what kind of service provider you are. All these skills that we train people to do are lower level labor skills, but it is very important to find somebody that can follow instructions. Very important to find somebody that's groomed very well, and that has a potential to actually engage with a customer. I mean, here's the funniest thing in the world is that, and I'll just throw this in, it's nothing to do with hiring, but lots of guys go out there and go, I want to clone me, man. I want 10 of me. I want to find somebody like me. Well, if you're finding somebody like you and you're training somebody that's like you, you're just training your competitors. Ron Musgraves, Pressure Washing Institute. There's my hiring a laborer tip trick for the week. Have a great day and a great weekend.